Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, leaders from all generations, good evening and welcome to the Rundown on Leadership, where we tell the whole truth about what it really takes to lead in today's world. I'm Ahmad Rashad Thompson, your host, and I want to thank you for joining us tonight. What we're stepping into tonight is not surface level. It's real leadership in real life. And I believe that this moment might meet you right where you are and lead you to where you're meant to be. Before we dive in tonight, I just want to take a moment to say thank you. Truly. So many of you have stopped me in the grocery store, at church, in the airport, even at the Cancer Society annual ball last weekend, just to say how much this show is impacting your lives and shaping your view on leadership. And I want you to know that we don't take that lightly. We feel the impact because you're telling us about it. You're sharing your breakthroughs, your shifts in perspective, and the decisions you're making because of these conversations. And we are genuinely and deeply grateful. This show is for you. The leader, the visionary, the one still standing even when it's hard. And because it's for you, we want to hear from you. What topics do you want us to tackle next? What conversations are missing from the leadership space? Is there a leader you would like us to invite to the show? We invite you to scan the QR code on your screen and let us know. Your feedback fuels us, and your voice can help us to shape where we take this show from here. So from the bottom of my heart, thank you so much for watching, for sharing, and for walking this journey with us. We are so, so grateful. Ladies and gentlemen, leadership is hard. So often people paint this glamorous picture of what leadership is. Fancy offices, heavy titles, lots of money, fanfare, and so much more. But in all my years of coaching leaders and developing talent across industries, I've come to realize that leadership is lonely. Leadership is frustrating. Leadership is not having all the answers. Leadership also means not having all the resources. Leadership sometimes means not having a clue what to do next. And leadership is hard work. That's why this show was created, ladies and gentlemen. So you wouldn't have to lead in ignorance and frustration. Every week, we enroll you in a leadership masterclass to help you to get better, do better, and lead better. And tonight, this particular conversation will shine a light on the truth about leadership. We're talking about the things that nobody puts on their resume, the things that organizations omit from the job postings. The reality is, there comes a point in leadership where the vision is still written, but the team has lost the plot. Where the meetings still happen, but the meaning feels missing. Where you're the one everyone's depending on, but no one's really checking on. Have you ever been there? Have you ever walked into the room as the leader knowing full well that what you're about to lead is literally falling apart, and yet you show up? Not because you have it all together, but because the calling didn't cancel itself. Because something in you refuses to walk away from the mess, or worse, doesn't know how to navigate that mess. This episode tonight is for the leaders in the middle of the wreckage. The ones holding broken systems, bruised teams, and barely holding it together. The leaders who are suffering but still strategic. Frustrated but still setting forecasts. Broken but still born for this. We're not talking theory tonight, y'all. We're talking about the chaos, the confusion, the cost of leadership, and how to keep leading anyway. Tonight is not for the faint of heart. It's not about the glossy titles or the fancy LinkedIn posts. Tonight we're pulling back the curtain on the downside of leadership. Those moments when the team won't align, when the resources are not there, when morale is in the basement, and you feel like you've got nothing left to give. But then, purpose somehow still calls. Even then, leadership somehow still matters. So if you're watching this and you've been leading through the fire, or you're carrying more than anyone else knows, this conversation is for you. Tonight is about hope, honesty, and hearing what to do when it's all falling apart. We've got an incredible guest with us tonight. My bishop, my senior pastor, Bishop Delton Dale Ellis, senior pastor of Mount Tabor Church, is with us. And with over 30 years of leadership experience in life, faith, and ministry, this man knows full well what it means to lead through brokenness and still stand. So here's what I need you to do right now. Hit that share button, text a friend, tag a colleague, tell someone who you know is carrying the weight of leadership that we're about to have a transformational conversation and they need to hear it. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the Rundown on Leadership, and your breakthrough is right after this break.
Summer in the Bahamas. The weather is hot, but not as hot as the ZNS summer packages. Get ads on ZNS TV or ZNS Radio Network or the TV community page, or a combination of all three. ZNS has got you covered with great prices, whatever package you choose. Book before June 7th and get the local Federation Championship Baseball bonus full of all kinds of extras free of charge. Contact your account executive or call ZNS Sales at 502-3800 today. Hot summer package rates valid until July 31st.
I am a master plumber by profession. I've been doing plumbing for over 40 odd years. When I was 9 months old, I was diagnosed with polio. To me, living with polio, I took it the way it is. I never allowed my polio to get in my way of anything. In fact, I love when people doubt me, and I just prove them wrong. And let me tell you, in the world, you could only find a plumber as good as me, but you ain't gonna find no plumber better than me. People with disability, they just need a chance. In this program, I feel so encouraged. Most of the mentors have different kind of disability, but disabilities like me. Sharing and caring and showing so much support with people with disability. They would encourage you to go beyond. I wish this was around a long time ago. Right now, I would have been a millionaire. You out there who have a disability, don't be afraid. Take the step. If you believe it, you could achieve it. And remember one thing, ain't no one better than me, and ain't no one better than y'all. God made all us equal.
For more information about how the SBDC can help your small business to make a big impact, give us a call at 461-7232 or visit sbdcbahamas.com.
Did you know you could send a local bank transfer to a Sand Dollar wallet? It's the same as sending a transfer to an account at another local bank. Simply use the wallet's 12-digit top-up address as the account number, savings as the account type, Central Bank of the Bahamas as the bank, and Sand Dollar as the branch with branch code or transit number 12,000. Don't use urgent or priority delivery. Transfers to Sand Dollar wallets are processed through the Bahamas Automated Clearinghouse Network within 1 business day.
Your home is your sanctuary. The last thing you need to worry about is rodents. Once they enter your property, they can be tough to get out. If you're concerned about rodents, call Rent-A-Kill Initial. We offer the latest, most effective treatment for safe, fast, and long-lasting results. From prevention to elimination, our integrated approach guarantees protection. For rodent control you can trust, there's only one name in the Bahamas: Rent-A-Kill Initial.
Welcome back, everyone, and welcome to the show, Bishop. It is truly an honor to have you here with me tonight to talk about leadership and it all going to hell, Bishop. When things ain't looking right, when the money ain't right, the people locking off, when things ain't things, Bishop.
Yes, sir.
Right? This is a special episode to me, y'all, because I'm sitting here with my senior pastor in a unique way, in a way that I've not been able to do so very often in the past, but we're going to have a conversation tonight, Bishop, to help people to understand that when things are going wrong, it is not the end.
Right.
But there's some things that must be done in the process, right?
Absolutely.
So, Bishop, let's give the people a bit of a backstory. Tell us, who is Delton Dale Ellis?
Well, first of all, thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely.
It's a pleasure to be here.
Yes, sir.
Simple guy from Porgy Bay, Bimini.
Yes.
Of course, I'm the last of 10 children.
Wow.
To my parents. And I think I'm simple, I'm kind, but they still saw me as the one. They gave me a nickname that I still don't like. They used to call me Pharaoh.
Okay.
And that's because I have that potential to drive you to your maximum.
Okay.
And to pull out of you whatever is inside of you, I could hopefully get it out of you.
Yes.
I love God, I love people, and I love traveling. I mean, everybody who know me know I love traveling. And one of the reasons I love it is because I like to expose people. And so if I have knowledge, you'll get the knowledge if you're prepared to get it.
Yes,
That's
sir.
really who Delton
Yes,
Ellis
sir.
is.
I think people often misunderestimate. Bishop, the fact that leadership is humanity first.
Yes.
Before you became anything else, you were born and God sent you here to be human and then achieve all of these other things that come in the way of life. But Bishop, let's talk a little bit about how you got here.
Right.
How did you become the senior pastor of Mount Tabor Church, something that you have You've spoken openly about the fact that this wasn't on your radar.
Not at all.
This wasn't something that you had planned to do.
Not
In
at
fact, you were
all.
retired, Bishop.
Absolutely.
Talk about this.
Absolutely. When Bishop Ellis announced that he had 10 years left, I said, all right, Bishop, I'll give you 5.
Yes.
I mean, he called me everything but a child of God. You got to be crazy. I said, no, Bishop, I don't think I'm interested in that.
Wow.
And I said, so when you have 5 years left, I will retire, pull aside, give you an opportunity to choose our successor and get him in place. And so I did that.
Yes.
2018, I retired. My wife and I worked from home full-time for that 5 years. And then, of course, the transition started to take place at
Yes.
Mount Tabor.
Yes.
The first person didn't work out, never really made it to an installation. The second pastor that was chosen made it to 1 year and a day, and then pretty much abruptly resigned. The church called on me at that day. As a matter of fact, I'll never forget that day.
Wow.
We were at prayer meeting. We got home, I was preparing for something, and I saw an expression on my wife's face.
Wow.
And I said, what's the challenge? She said, have you seen this video? And so we saw the video, and as a result of that, I got dressed and made my way to Mount Tabor.
Wow.
And we had a meeting there with Bishop Ellis, with the staff, and it was, I guess, announced at that time that I would sit in until we discover what we're going to do. Everybody knew I was not interested in pastoring.
Yes.
I had been involved in full-time ministry for more than 30 plus years.
Wow.
And so as far as I was concerned, I'd actually been Bishop Ellis' assistant for 24. And so I was done. I just, you know what, let me go do what I need to do.
Yes, yes.
But the lot fell on me. They asked me to become the interim pastor. And I did what I needed to do. And I went home that day. I said to my wife, after I had a chance to meet with Bishop Ellis, meet with the staff, meet with some of the pastors, when I was done with that, Ahmad, the assessment I had was, Jesus, we in trouble.
We in trouble.
We in trouble. So I said to my wife, I said, boy, I don't know what's going to happen on Sunday. As a result, I started to make some calls. And once I got in, Ahmad, I believe I was in, because I heard these words. This is a cliche, very much, and I don't deal with them. But sit small, tell your name call.
Yes, sir.
And they made me interim, and I said to my wife, boy, I feel like I have to go forth.
Wow.
But I did not ask. I waited until Mount Tabor approached me again. And Bishop Ellis said, now this is going to be the 3rd time that I've approached you.
Wow.
And you've turned me down twice. And I didn't even give him chance to say much. I said, no problem. I'll do what we need to do to go forward.
Yes, sir.
And so here I am.
Here you are. Here you are.
A year and some later.
Yes,
And
yes.
Still thanking God for what he brought us through. Yeah.
We're going to talk about that through part tonight,
Yes.
Bishop, because so
Yes.
many leaders right now are facing right at the barrel of that through.
Yes.
They have no idea what the other side might look like.
Yes.
All they know is right now, Jesus,
Right.
we in trouble. That statement, though, Bishop, that sentiment, that
Right.
feeling, coupled with the fact that you still have to go to work.
Yes,
Because
absolutely.
the feeling is one thing,
Yes.
but to feel that and still have to perform, still have to produce, still have
Right.
to help those flock flourish.
Yeah.
How do you navigate? What are you doing in that moment? What are you thinking? How are you moving forward?
One of the things I learned early, Ahmad, about transition is the first phase of transition is confusion.
Yes, sir.
It's confusion.
Wow.
The second phase of transition is depression.
Yes.
If you have an understanding that confusion will happen, because first of all now, the staff want to know, will this new pastor keep me?
Yes.
Because one of the other things you have to understand about transition, favor also changes.
Wow.
There arose a Pharaoh
Yes, sir.
who know not Joseph. So you have to begin to think through all this process.
Yes.
But a real leader has to stay level-headed. He has to stay focused and analyze, because the next step really is making an assessment
Yes,
of
yes.
where you are accepting where you are, and now setting the plans out to make some changes. Now, I'll tell you this now. This is not the time for long-term goals.
Okay.
You're just trying to get yourself through the first week.
Yes.
After the first week is over, make an assessment, and then let's go back at this again.
Wow.
Because you don't know what else is going to fall off in the next few days.
As time
goes, somebody may have stayed with you, which we experienced. All right? Couple who was there the first Sunday, by the time I reached to the third Sunday, they was gone. But you have to still stay focused with what you have, and then just put your heads to the ground and do what you have to do.
Now, Bishop, you mentioned two words. You said the first phase of transition is confusion.
Yes.
And then you talked about the fact that this leader must still be able to accept where they are.
Yes.
Let's talk briefly about the confusion part, Bishop, because that confusion could set people crazy.
Yes.
Can't see a way clear, you don't know what to happen.
Absolutely.
Talk about that.
Yeah, see, when confusion comes, and again, and how things happen at Mount Tabor, it was abrupt.
Yeah.
All right, so people was trying to figure out, well, what happened? What he did? What the church did? What's going on? I hear this. I hear the next thing. And so you will hear all of those things going on, and because of that, people get depressed. Remember now, let me take you in the church arena for a minute. A sheep follows a voice.
Absolutely.
All right? And so based on how well they know the voice is where they're going.
Yes, sir.
Sheep are also easily distracted. And so you have to bear all this in mind with the different personalities. I worked at McDonald's Corporation for a number of years. When I first started, I had 110 full-time staff, and 101 were females.
Wow.
So every day I had to deal with personalities.
Yes, sir.
I'm not sure if you could say this, but every day I had to deal with what woman is dealing with.
Yes, sir.
And
Yes,
when
sir.
that happens, you're dealing with different things. So all these personalities. And so I really learned how to manage by managing McDonald's. That process helped me to get through and to understand some of these things.
Yes, sir. Now, this acceptance part, Bishop.
Yes.
Being able to realize that this is what it is in this moment.
Yes.
The complaining, the making noise, the hollering about the place ain't gonna change nothing.
That's good for one day.
One day. Get it out of your system. Freak out.
Yes.
Call your friend, call you whoever you got to call, and just go to town.
Absolutely.
But then you got to come to the point and realize, wait, nah.
Yes.
I got something to do. Talk about the acceptance phase of this now, Bishop.
I'll tell you this. Again, I go back to that initial statement where when they said I was going to be in charge, I asked, can I meet the staff? Can I meet the pastors? After I had done with individual interviews, I knew that 50% of the people that was there, I was not going to see them next week.
Okay.
All right?
Okay.
I went home and I accepted the fact that I'm going to work with less than 50% staff that I have.
Wow.
I knew that. Now, so what I did that day, one of the areas that got hit the hardest was the media. So immediately, I called two persons I had a relationship with. I said, listen, I'm gonna need your help on Sunday. And so I call in reinforcement. So a good leader also has to know when it's time to call in reinforcement.
Yes, sir.
And so I accepted the fact I'm in trouble. But I don't know the media industry.
Yes.
Let me get somebody who's going to be able to troubleshoot this and know that. So a good leader has to know how to surround himself also in the midst of crisis.
Yes.
Analyze the talents you have left and know how to shift things around and make the changes.
Listen, there's already a lesson, so many lessons already, but one of the key things you just said was realizing that as the leader, you don't have to have all the answers.
No, sir.
You don't need to be the expert in every single field that you're now managing or leading. The key, though, is to recognize when you don't know and who you know that does know.
Absolutely.
Who on your team has the strength, who on your team is unprepared, unequipped, and how can we get them now to the point of performance to keep this thing moving?
Yes.
Right? When you think, Bishop, of what it means now to move past the confusion or to work through the confusion, to work through the acceptance phase, how does the people on the team now respond to this leader? Because you mentioned something, but you took a moment to assess and to really see what was going on. Why was that important?
It was important because you're walking into something that you may not have all the answers as to what just happened or what went down. So I went around asking. There was one person I interviewed. I said, now, she said something to me. I said, more than likely, you're probably not going to be here come Monday. I said, all I will ask you to do is let me know Sunday. If you're not coming Monday, let me know so I could have an opportunity. So I went and I talked, and like I said, I knew there was some that were not going to come back on Monday. I was prepared for that. The one good thing I'd say, David made a statement. I'm going to the Bible for a minute. David made a statement when he was being anointed for something to take leadership. They said to him, you can't do this. He was going up against Goliath. David said, listen, when I used to keep my father's sheep, a bear came and a lion came, and they took one of my young lambs, and I gone after him. Take the lamb out of his mouth, and then grab him by the beard, and I slew him. He had that experience for that particular moment and understanding what you need to do from there. So when you are kind of getting in that spot, you have to know what you got, what you could do, changes you need to make, and who you need to pull in to make sure these things happen.
Wow. This is already so good. I think people, Bishop, they underestimate, forgive me, what it means to lead through crisis. Ladies and gentlemen, we're just getting started. This is indeed the place you're going to get to understand how to truly lead when things are falling apart. How do you lead something that you didn't ask for? Or may not feel qualified for? How do you lead when no one is leading you? All that and more when we return. Stay close. Your breakthrough is after this break.
Bahamas Striping Group of Companies, we have been in Exuma now for the past 4 years, carrying out our paving program. A part of our company's philosophy is to do some work to international standards. So when you look at our paving division, we have a state-of-the-art lab to do all of our testing in-house, as well as a state-of-the-art asphalt plant with a trained technician carrying out the work on that site. The overarching goal of our company is to produce the work that we're doing in the entire Bahamas to international standards. We also make a difference by the training of our staff. We have a very intensive training program going on to where we are teaching young men how to learn the art of striping. Being a young man myself, I've made mistakes in the past. I was given a second chance to better my life, and it's only fitting that we pass it along. What's important for us is giving them a second chance for them to get a skill and a career that could take them further in life.
Planning the execution of a newscast is serious business. From the assignment to the concept of the story, everything has to be precise, on point, always. The Bahamas Tonight, the National Report, is your trusted news service. We get it right the first time. Our preparation for you each night is done with care, knowing that our voices will reach you on 700 islands and keys with unquestionable accuracy. It gives me great pleasure each night to say,
welcome to the Bahamas Tonight, the National Report. I'm your national anchor, Mukesh Lapinder.
Let's go.
At Frame Studio, as soon as you enter the door, we showcase any individual that comes in there and make it feel like they are at home. The space itself is 1,800 square foot. Our psych wall, which is industry standard also, is 24 feet wide. You can do anything that you can possibly think of. At Frame Studio, under our theme, Now Create More, we look at Frame Studio as a canvas. And any artist knows a canvas is blank, and then you create whatever you want to do, right? So we have where you could rent tools. We even have workstations that people could rent out. To anyone inspiring to do what I've done, or what my colleagues have done, or any other journey, I would say to you, don't be afraid. The worst someone can actually tell you is no. So if you have a vision, you have an idea, not everyone will get it. But if you believe in your vision, you believe in your idea, I say go wholeheartedly at it.
For more information about the Creative Entrepreneurs Initiative and the Crafting the Bahamas workshops, email info@sbdcbahamas.com or call us at 461-7232.
Welcome back, everyone. If you're just joining us, our guest tonight is my senior pastor, Bishop Delton Ellis, and he's helping us to understand how to navigate every wave of leadership.
Yes, sir.
Bishop, let's switch gears for a bit and talk now about the reality of leadership, the leadership they don't talk about in the classrooms or in the boardrooms, Bishop. We're talking about now when things are falling apart, when things are not going the way they should. What does a leader, Bishop, who has inherited a mess, not one they created,
right,
but one they're now responsible for, what do they do when that moment takes place?
First of all, you can't panic.
Wow.
You can't panic.
You got to hold your head.
Yes, sir. Because if you go in there panicking at the mess, everybody else who is left is going to panic.
Yes.
So a leader, watch this now, have to know how to bleed without the blood running out your body.
Wow.
Because as a leader, you may be bleeding.
Yes.
But you can't let the people you are leading see blood coming from you.
Yes, yes.
Because if they see blood coming from their leader, then obviously discouragement is going to set in with them. Now, I wouldn't tell you I wasn't scared. I went in there and said, Jesus Christ, what the hell is this? All right? But when I got in that, then I realized, okay, I could say that privately, but I can't say that in the front of the people I'm leading. So I had to keep a level head. I had to keep a steady head. Scared, but level.
Yes.
And I had to go into them, listen, y'all, we could do this. We could do this. I'm just pushing. We could make things happen. God is faithful. That kind. You got to create an atmosphere among your people that changes the atmosphere of what they're going through right now. And unless that changes, trouble will continue to set in.
You have to create an atmosphere among your people that will change the way the atmosphere that they're currently working in.
Yes.
That takes effort, that takes know-how, that takes wisdom.
Yes.
It also takes, Bishop, realizing that even though you can't see what you want to see, there's still something to work toward.
Sure.
How does a leader, Bishop, see beyond? What do you have to do to develop the skill to realize that what you're looking at is not all that there is to see?
Right. See, let's go like this. One of the things I did first was pour extra love on the staff I had left. All right? Now, I'm a giver by nature.
Yes.
But I went the extra mile because here was the staff who, in the midst of a crisis, stayed. I had to encourage them. I had to push them. And then I gave some reality.
Yes.
This is I ain't bring no fluff. This is the reality. It is what it is right now. If you had seen the first service we had, it was scary. All right, the picture was scary. And I said to them, don't destroy that photo. Keep that photo, because we can compare that photo, what you see now, in the next 6 to 8 months. So you got to give the people hope that some things will change, and the change really got to start with you. I think it was Mother Teresa. She said, if you want to change the whole world, go home and start with your family.
Start down.
Right?
Start down.
So I started with what I had left, and that's what you got to do as a leader. Whatever it is you have left, just pick up what you got and make sure you are pushing them, throwing some positive things at that group of people.
So now, Bishop, as you talk about that, right, how does a leader know and be able to differentiate between a storm they're meant to calm and a storm they're meant to withstand?
Gotcha. There are different force winds, all right? The Bahamas, I think, is the Saffir-Simpson scale, one of them, all right? And their blowing of the winds of the storm is by categories. The Bahamas went through something one year, I believe it was with Gilbert, and they had to change the laws to make sure the braces now could sustain 200 mile an hour as opposed to what you got. Based on what category you were going through, determines your preparation level. And so sometimes you have to be able to itemize, okay, 60 gone, but I still got 20. You see what I'm saying? So even though it might have been a category 3, I could withstand this. Then sometimes you may realize, listen, this is a Dorian passing our way. All right, everybody right now, let's take a moment, buckle down, and watch this now, until this pass over. All right? So you have to realize that some you can work your way through. I go back to another scripture. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I'll fear no evil.
Wow.
All right? My thing is, Ahmad, there's some crisis that you are going to go through that you could withstand them because you could take it. And some of it, watch this now, for leader, will go to experience that you have. Don't discount any area when you were smaller. All right, that's why David said, now I could kill this Goliath. You all think he big. But I done been through this before.
I didn't kill lion, I didn't kill bear.
And I didn't kill them.
Yes.
So this uncircumcised dude I could deal with. See, a leader himself has to know what all he's withstood to be able to determine what he here now is whether or not he could withstand this, or brother, let's hold on to this, because right now, I don't see no way through. Boy, if that's the language you use, the rest of people believe you. Here's what I had one of our staff members said. They said, boy, I think I can leave because this ship look like it going down. I said, not while I'm on it. And he's still there today.
Okay.
All right. So you could change the narrative by letting them know, no, brother, we could withstand this. We could survive this, and we could push this.
Do you think, Bishop, it's important at that moment, in those moments there, to have strategy involved?
You can have partial strategy. Earlier, I alluded to the fact that you can't really plan long-term goals in a mess. It's hard to do that. What you have to do is get a strategy, but you got to take that by the month. All right, let's see if we could get here. Because you're talking about a year, 2 years down the road, and you ain't sure what you got for the month. So my thing is, deal with some short-term goals. Let's get through a couple of things and then make our way through the process from there. And that's exactly what I did. I take it one step at a time, because every area at our church got hit.
Every area.
Every area.
Wow.
All right? So every time they came to me, Pastor, we need this, we need this, we need it. One step at a time, buddy. Let's get through this process. As soon as we get a grip on this, then let's move to this. So I think short-term goal and progressively, because I came in and what I did was I gave them a vision to take us so far. When we got through the year, then I start planning for the upcoming year. So I think you got to do some short-term goals and then make progression from there.
Yes, sir. So now, Bishop, even as you're taking those short-term steps and you encouraging your team members, you're kind of instilled some hope. You got some small but I guess agile strategy in place. What do you do when you truly don't have all the answers, right? Everyone looking to you for everything, and all you got there is like just amen, God is good. How does the leader really do that? Because I think, Bishop, you have a skill, you have an ability to really lead to crisis naturally. You call yourself the crisis leader.
Yes, sir.
Right?
Absolutely.
For persons who don't have that gift automatically or not innate, what do they do to really, when they have no answers, they have no insight into what's going to happen next, what are they supposed to do?
When you don't have the answers, don't even act like you got them. All right? If you have a leadership group, say to your leadership group, this is what we are up against. What are your thoughts?
Yes, sir.
All right? A leader is not a leader because he got all the answers. A leader is a leader because he know where to find the answer from. So if you have some leaders around you, then listen, Ahmad, what you think we should do with this? All right? Johnson, what you think we should do with this? Russell, what you think we should do with this? And lay it on the table. You know what I do every week? Every Sunday, we have service, whatever we do. Monday at 1 o'clock, I meet with my pastors.
Yes, sir.
We evaluate the service. We evaluate the songs. We evaluate the service people receive. We evaluate my sermons. What could we have done better to enhance it for next week? Did I say something that I shouldn't have? Because all kind of things are flying now. So a leader has to know when he sits with his people, say to them, listen, I don't have all the answers. Give me some ideas of what y'all think. And you'll be amazed.
What they come up with.
Thank you very much.
Wow.
Don't underestimate the people you are leading. Because sometimes they have better ideas than you do.
I often tell my clients, Bishop, that most times ideas don't sit and solutions don't sit at the ivory tower.
Right.
They sit on the ground where the people are facing struggles every single day.
Where they understand the logistical movement.
Absolutely.
All right?
Absolutely.
I'll never forget when Mount Tabor was major. I mean, the people was lining up for the second service before the first one came out. One of the ladies said to me, Pastor, why we don't go through the side door after the first service? I said, no. And she asked me why. I said, because I say so. Now, I had no clue why I said no.
Yeah.
Other than I said no because we never do it before.
Wow, wow.
And then we decided one Sunday to try it.
Yes.
And it's been a smooth process
ever since.
So sometimes the bright ideas will come from the people you are actually leading.
Yes. Now, Bishop, we talked about the people being scarce, right? But then you're still tapping into those that have been left. That 60 gone, but there's 20 is here. How do we navigate them? How do we help them along this journey? How do we help them help us? Well, let's talk about, though, Bishop, when the resources ain't there.
Right.
You need money to run business.
Right.
My grandma says, scared money can't make no money. And if you ain't got no money, you can't use no money. So how do you now manage something that is non-existent or very, very limited?
Right.
How do you figure out what to do next?
You, as a leader, understanding the finances and what you're up against is very important.
Yes.
So one of the things I buckled down with initially, I said to them, give me all the balances on the accounts. Give me all the accounts payable and show me the budget, what was made up so far for this year.
Yes.
When I got those figures, I realized, all right, I don't need this right now. I don't need the next thing right now. We had some things in our church that were on contract. I canceled all of them.
Yes.
Because at this point in time, I could have church without that.
Yes.
So a leader has to know what needs to be canceled, what needs to be put on the side until you get back up to where you are. So understanding that assessment now. The good thing for me with being a Christian and from the church arena, it still goes back to sowing and reaping. So one of the things I made Mount Tabor do was sow out of the little they had. And that's what made a difference for us. And even if you look at corporations around, they give to charitable organization because the principle is not for Christians. It's a principle. You sow, you will reap.
Absolutely.
And so even when things are tight, you have to still know how to sow, or in the secular arena, know how to be charitable from your organization, because it'll come back to you.
Bishop, at any point in this journey, as you realized, wait now, just saying, if I ever was to do this, it was never be like this. Right? At any point, did you have a human moment?
Sure.
Talk about that for a second,
I asked
Bishop.
God, what he dealing with? I said, I've been here for 25 years, and you wait until now to put me in charge?
Jesus have mercy.
All right? I was used to, I had a team of 200 plus volunteers.
Wow.
All right? In my heyday at Mount Tabor.
Yes.
Now, I wasn't even quite sure if I had 200 people coming to church. So you had me as the second in command to all of this. And now I became the first in command with half of this. After a while of asking God, why now? What have I done? What the deal is? I buckle down and say, all right, let's get this baby moving. And then now, that's where my main strategy started to come out. Let's do this. Let's make this happen. Let's buckle down and do that. And so you have to know how to cut and how, watch this now, I could use that word, how to navigate through all these different ways.
The navigation is so important, Bishop, because the navigation, you're not just leading yourself, you're leading an entire organization now, right?
Absolutely.
If we move away from the concept of the church, if you are leading any organization, it could be McDonald's, it could be the church, it could be anything. If you don't know where you're going or how to get there, if your vision, though skewed, though may be blurry, if you don't have an idea of where you're trying to go, if you can't galvanize the people that are left, if you can't tap into the resources that may remain, you will buck up against one rock. You can hit one reef on a boat in a broken ship.
Absolutely.
The ship will sink, forgive me.
Certainly.
Before we go to our next break, Bishop, when you think of the leader right now, who is, they are the helm of the ship, they could see something. They can't see the full thing, but they see some kind of crack or hope is there. They're the right people left on the team. Maybe one or two little, slacking off for injuries, too short, that's normal. What should they be doing right now?
All right. First of all, again, make sure you are celebrating the staff you have left. You gotta celebrate the people.
Yes.
The people have to see that you appreciate them. So watch this now, Ahmad. You may be struggling financially, but you got these 6 persons left. You better find a way, in the midst of your low finances, to give little something to the people who you have left as a form of encouragement. When people feel valued, they will give value
back. Absolutely.
Right?
It's as simple as that.
It's as simple as that.
Wow.
But if people don't feel valued, they say, well, what are you doing this for?
Yes.
All right? And if you all you're doing is to see what is in this for you, absolutely.
Yes.
That's what your workers can say. What's in this for me? And so you have to be able, as a leader, when there isn't anything, to still show them where there is something for you in the midst of this
Absolutely.
process.
When you pour value into your people, they pour value back into you.
Absolutely.
Bottom line.
Absolutely.
We are having an incredible conversation. This is so good. Tonight's show is shining a light on the underbelly of leadership. A conversation that's not often had, but is so very necessary. We are going to continue this conversation right now. When we come back from our break, go even deeper when we come back, ladies and gentlemen. So stay tuned, rather. There's more after the breakthrough. There's more breakthrough after the break. I'm excited, y'all. Can't you tell?
The new stuffed crust cheddar flavor has a taste you'll enjoy.
Outside and inside.
With a delicious stuffed crust covered in irresistible cheddar flavor. Come and try the new stuffed crust cheddar flavor only at Little Caesars.
Pizza, pizza.
There's a spark of greatness in each of us. That spark is called personality. Individual gifts and talents provide the fuel to set that spark ablaze. Each child has the right to an education which values their personality and nurtures their talents, while teaching them to be respectful to their parents and their cultures.
We're here at the Nassau Village Community Center project, where over the past 17 months, we've hired over 20 Bahamian subcontractors to bring this beautiful project to fruition.
I've been living in Nassau Village for more than 19 years, and to see a project like this bring great joy and pride to me.
This state-of-the-art multi-purpose community center will serve as a crime-fighting initiative in the community, also help with the education of our kids in this community, and a hurricane shelter.
Yeah, and it also shows what we as Bahamians can achieve when we work hand in hand with each other.
We have the technical know-how, and we can pretty much deliver on any project here in the Bahamas or in the world.
Bahamas Stripe and the Bahamian Company, they prove that they believe in Bahamians.
Based on the outcome of this project, I don't think they're disappointed in giving a small person an opportunity to do a job such as this.
The more opportunity they get, the more opportunity we will get.
If you look around and see the work done so far, it just shows what we as Bahamians can do.
Hello, I'm Mario Nuri. It's never too early to prepare for a hurricane, and we want to make sure our community is always ready. So we invite you to join us for another A Familiar Walk, Step Towards Hurricane Preparedness, with special guests, Lisa Pinder, Director General, Dr. Trevor Johnson of the Bahamas Red Cross, Disaster Risk Management Authority representatives, and Charles Johnson of J.S. Johnson Insurance Agents and Brokers. So do join us and stay weather aware.
Welcome back, everyone. Welcome back. Bishop, I always tell my clients that they ought to remember that they are employees too.
Yes.
Right? It's tough once people become leaders because most people feel like after that they could forego the humanity of it all. They could not go through some things. They could not experience the heartache and the hurt that many other people as employees feel. But against that backdrop, Bishop, I want us to talk now about the leader's leader. Where do you go to be poured into? How do you go back and get sustenance now for this journey when you're on the journey? So, Bishop, who do you talk to? Who does the leaders, who should they be speaking to now when they find themselves needing support, lacking resources, all these things?
I believe every leader should have a mentor. Every mentor really should have a mentor.
Yes, absolutely.
All right? Everybody needs, I mean, our parents said that forever.
Yes, yes, yes.
Everybody needs somebody.
Yes.
So there has to be some people on your level that you can talk to, and there also has to be somebody who's able to inspire you. You have to be able to identify that person early in life.
Yes.
When I sit with them, do they make me think? All right? Is my analytical and critical skills going up when I sit with this person? Everybody need that person, because that person make you think. All right? And then they have to be able to speak into you. You have to identify that. I remember as first assistant at Mount Tabor, I had 3 people in the congregation, and I said to them, don't worry about my title, first assistant. Call me Delton.
Yes.
If you see me go off course, if you see me say something, if you see me do something, I give you the authority to pull me aside and tell me straight up without the fluff.
Yes.
Everybody needs that person in their life. So I have 1 or 2 of those in my life that are above me. And then I have 1 or 2 colleagues that are on my level that I could still bounce some things off of them because they kind of have an understanding as to where I am. So I believe even though you have a mentor or a coach, every now and again you need more than one.
Yes.
Based on how that coach is coaching you, because you may be in a different vein for what you need.
Absolutely. How does a leader, Bishop, who finds himself taking this feedback, this direction, personally, versus turn it into strategy? How do they navigate that process right now?
You can't take it personally. See, because if I say that now and I told Ahmad, you feel free to cut me if you need to, then I have to be able to accept that. But if I'm getting mad with Ahmad cutting me, then I ain't ready for the next level. You see? Because you have to be able to decipher what Ahmad says he is actually helping me. I could take you biblically for a moment. This is like a shepherd with a sheep. When a shepherd sheds the sheep, he is not shedding the sheep to cut the sheep.
Yes.
He is shedding the sheep so that the sheep, watch this now, can grow more wool for the next season.
Wow.
So sometime you have to give a leader an opportunity to cut you, to help you to get to the next level. So if you open yourself to somebody, you have to be prepared to take what they're giving you.
Yes. Now, Bishop, when we talk about how the leader, because even those conversations can help them, right? But after those conversations are done, after that strategy's been forecast, that person, after they've been inspired, the fact is they got to go home.
They
got to lay down. And they got to hear them voices in their head, Bishop.
Yes.
How do you stay engaged as a leader, especially when your soul is tired, Bishop, but the title's still active? You still name Bishop, you still got to come to church on Sunday. But you ain't into this.
They ain't gonna like this answer.
Go ahead, talk it.
Go to a massage therapist. See, a leader has to know how to relax. When I always used to tell our staff, when you are fatigued, you don't think properly.
Yes.
When you tired, you say foolishness.
Yes.
You see?
When you're tired, you say foolishness. Yes, sir.
And then you regret it later. So a leader has to know how to relax, how to pull himself away. I said to the church before they hired me or asked me to come back, I said, listen, now I ain't a pastor like the older pastors.
Yes.
Every quarter, look for me to take a break.
Yes.
Because a leader has to pull away, get himself refreshed, so you could think better.
Yes.
You see? So, you know, a leader may have to spend some money to get himself together so you could be together for the people later.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely. That is so good.
Yes.
In terms, Bishop, of... You mentioned something just now. You said that the shepherd has to, in some cases, cut that sheep. Cut the wool, rather.
Cut the
for
wool.
the sheep to be able to grow that wool some more and be able to prepare for the next season.
Yes.
When you think of the season that the leader may be in today, when he or she is still leading through chaos, they are unsure how to demonstrate that vulnerability, how to say what they need, because you said, listen, man, if I come back to this now, I can't be doing what we used to do back in the day. I will need to take a break every now and again.
Yes.
How does vulnerability, Bishop, play a role in leadership today?
That is there, but again, there has to be somebody who you could go and talk to. All right? Now, personally, with what we went through, there was about 4 people who I actually talk with every Sunday.
Okay.
For almost a year.
Wow.
All right, every Sunday for almost a year. How was this? How did that happen? What's going on there? What's happening there? Because you were going, remember I said you could bleed, but you can't share that on the people.
Yes.
So when a leader in an organization is vulnerable, he still has to know how to be able to have that executive coach who could talk with him and bring him through that process. Because if you become too vulnerable and throw that on your people, then you're really setting up yourself for further disaster.
Yeah, because there is power in being vulnerable, saying, I don't know the answer right now.
Absolutely.
Let's tap into a resource that we have, or let me find out this answer and get back to you.
Right.
Admitting when you don't have it all together is part of the leadership strategy.
They always tell you transparency.
Absolutely.
When you're going through chaos, you have to be transparent.
Yes.
Because people really can't help you unless they fully understand what you're dealing with and what you're up against.
Absolutely.
Because all of us could look good, but catching hell underneath.
Absolutely. What a time.
But if you don't tell somebody, then we'll find ourselves in trouble.
Absolutely.
Yes.
So, Bishop, as before we wrap up the conversation completely tonight, I do want us to restore, in some cases, and in many cases even renew.
Yes.
Right? The hope that many leaders may be facing or may be doing without right now.
Yes.
When you think, Bishop, of your 30-year journey in ministry, right? What's the one leadership principle that you've applied that's never let you down and you continue to use right now?
Don't let somebody else's momentum cause you to stop. See, what throws a leader off is because a momentum is on the other side.
Yes.
Then you get discouraged. No, you have to push through somebody else. You have to push through while others are progressing.
Okay.
So one of the things that I've learned, Ahmad, is never to get upset, never to complain, because somebody else is going ahead. So you have to know this ship will turn around.
Yes.
And you have to understand that. So one of the things that has kept me steady is everybody got a season. There's a season and a time for everything. They may be in theirs now, but buckle down, stay steady, and you'll make through the process.
Absolutely.
That's how I survive.
Absolutely. Bishop, ministry is a people business.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
And people can disappoint.
Yes,
People
absolutely.
will frustrate you, people will run your heart, people will disown you, people will all the things to you.
Yes.
How does a leader, Bishop, keep leading even though their heart is broken?
Yeah, you have to understand personalities, all right? Not because your heart, somebody broke your heart, mean you can't live again or love again.
Yeah.
Let's go even in a relationship. Some people get up because one person broke their heart, but the next one may love you even better.
Yes.
All right? So you still have to know how to push a little harder despite the fact that your heart is broken. People are very fickle, and a leader have to understand that, that people will shift on you at the flip of a hat.
Aye, Jesus.
All right? But a leader has to know how to have a steady head, even though when one disappointed you, you can't treat the next one that way, like you really want to that one, because they disappointed you. No. Sometimes a disappointment from a person may help pull something else out of somebody else. And so sometimes you got to look, all right, this is out the window. What next out of this person? You just got to keep moving, because they will disappoint you. So.
Absolutely. That's a part of it, right?
That's a part of it.
It ain't gonna be beds and roses all the time.
No, you ain't gonna get around that. You ain't get around that. Everybody are different. I got 3 girls, and they all different.
Yes, sir.
All right? So you have to understand that. And then one of the things most people miss too is just understanding also a generation that you're dealing with. Based on what generation of people you are dealing with will also help you know how to understand. And you have to know that as a leader.
Absolutely.
Yes, indeed.
What do you think, Bishop, that failures and disappointments and the things that aren't glamorous in leadership, what if those lessons taught you about God, about people, and about yourself?
One of the things is I realized I'm stronger than I thought.
Wow.
Because the earlier Delton would not have taken certain stuff.
Wow.
All right?
Wow.
So I've seen my own growth in that process. God has a way of turning some things. And so Delton has grown, watch this now, because of the kinds of people that I've dealt with. And so you will grow based on some of that. So Delton has gotten a little bit better. Now you got to give me the second part of that question. I remember that also.
What does it taught you about God and about leadership in general?
That God is a God who still loves us all, and not because you in a hurry mean he is.
Wow. I'm going to talk that, man. Talk that.
God has a timetable.
Wow.
And sometimes we try to rush the timetable. No, you have to do 2 times 2 before you get to 3 times 2.
Right.
All right? And so sometimes you got to follow the timetable. God is not as in a hurry
as you are.
And that's what you got to realize.
Wow. And then what does it taught you about leadership? What has failure taught you about leadership?
That you could come back around. See, failure don't mean you were dead in the water. That process just failed. They always tell you the fellow who did the light bulb, he said, I didn't really fail. That's how much steps it was to get there.
Yes.
So that's how you got to look at that. You have to know how to be able, as a leader, to bounce back when something you tried has failed. My first time investing $25,000 a month, I lost it.
My Lord.
But boy, I ain't stopped investing since then. Even though I lost 25 grand, it was a hit. But the bottom line is, I can recoup that again in the next season. And that's how a leader has to look at it. Don't let failure or loss in one area stop you from pressing forward in the next.
This is discernment, Bishop. We're talking about discernment, being able to realize what's going wrong, what's going right, what to apply, what not to apply.
Right.
How do you discern, Bishop, what to restore versus what to release? Because the leader in crisis may feel that they have to hold on to everything that's left. Right. But you talked earlier about the fact that, wait, I don't need this right now. I can keep trash without this. I could reassemble that. I could come back to that later. How do you determine what to release and what to restore?
Based on how bad the situation is and where you need to get first to restore it. See, because you may have access to certain things, but you don't need that for now. You may need that down the road. That has to be an assessment you have to look at. Because like I said, we had these things and I realized, but I don't need that right now. You have to know, based on the business you were in or the organization you were in, how important is this thing to the success of where I am now. All right? If I don't need it now, then just put it aside until you get to that point. Because one of the things I got rid of, I'm in negotiation of getting it back now. That's how you got to look. I'm in a better place now than I was at that particular time.
Yes, sir. Let's talk about the people part of it, Bishop. What happens when the 60 gone, the 20 left, and 4 of them 20 walking backwards? You need 20 people. In fact, you need 60. But you got 20, and 4 of them doing their own thing, acting up, acting red. How does the leader determine if now is the best time to release them, to recuperate them, to rehabilitate them? What should a leader be doing right then and there?
There may come a time when a leader has to understand when to cut his losses. All right? If those 4 are going to pull the ship down, then it's better to cut your losses. You need 20, 4 gone, you're down to 16. I guarantee you, somebody in that crew have multiple skills. And so if those 4 were pulling it down the team, then that may be your season as a leader and to cut loose. And a leader has to know that. You don't always want to. But if you could be dead weight, I make this statement very often. It's hard to carry dead weight up a hill. All right? So if there's dead weight, then you got to know how to remove it and keep moving. A leader has to know how to be strong and know when to cut his losses.
Yes, sir. Bishop, how important is it to have your very intimate circle? Right? You have your family, you have Lady Anna, you have your daughters. How important is it to have the people closest to you believe in what you believe in?
I'll tell you this, I'll go this far. My daughter believed in me so much, she quit her own job. That bonuses were higher where she was. And she said, Daddy, I want to come help you. I said, baby, I can't afford to pay you. She said, don't let's worry about all that. Let's get past this. And so she resigned, came, and work for me. You need that inner circle.
Yes.
All right, there are 2 or 3 persons that I use now, Apostle Ivory, Apostle Gail. They are my inner circle for this season.
Yes.
All right, they're the ones I'm gonna lean on to help get me through this process. And you gotta know that. And then when you know that, you buckle down with them and say, listen, y'all, all right, I need you to do this, but I can't handle you right now.
Yes, yes, yes.
That's the kind of friends you need when you go into crisis.
Wow.
Some people who could get you through till you get on the next side.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Bishop, before we take this, the last question for you tonight, but do you believe leaders are born or made?
I could say a combination of both.
Okay.
We all are born, but leadership still takes skills that has to be honed.
Yes.
All right? So a leader still got to be sharpened. The Bible says iron sharpens iron. So a leader still has to come into his own, and that's through crisis. All right, so I know they always have that debate, and my answer is always, all us are born, so we are born.
Yeah.
But then you could learn how to become a leader. Excellence is not excellence because you have it. Excellence is excellence because you stop tolerating mediocrity.
Wow.
When you stop tolerating certain things, then you'll get to the next level.
Jesus have mercy. When you stop tolerating certain things, then you will get to your next level. What are you considering? What are you tolerating right now that you know is mediocrity, that you know is below your standard, but you've allowed it to become the standard? This has been a conversation tonight, ladies and gentlemen. If you've been tuned in from the top, then you know we didn't just scratch the surface tonight, we went deep. We talked about the realities of leadership, when it's not pretty, when it's not easy, and when it feels like the whole thing might just collapse. But what we discovered through Bishop Ellis's wisdom is this: brokenness does not disqualify you, it deepens you. But chaos is not the end, it's often the beginning of clarity. And that when you don't have the answers, sometimes just your presence is enough. So if you're leading in the dark, if you're leading while bleeding, if you're carrying weight that no one else can see, do not quit. Don't let silence shame you. Don't let fatigue fool you. And don't let this rough chapter convince you that it's the end of the book. This is not your breakdown. This might just be your breakthrough. Thank you again to our guest, Bishop Dalton Dale Ellis, for your transparency and truth, your characteristics we don't often see in leadership anymore, Bishop. Before we go, any final words of hope for our audience tonight, Bishop?
Keep pushing.
Keep pushing.
Keep pushing. Keep pushing. Whatever you're dealing with,
yes,
keep pushing.
Yes. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, leaders from all generations, there you have it. What a show this was tonight. Thank you for running it down with us here on the Rundown on Leadership, where we don't just talk about leadership, we tell the truth about it, and we bring you the best so you can become your best. Be sure to stay locked on the ZNS Network for the Bahamas tonight at 11 p.m. It's the final newscast in the country with the latest on news information with Royston Jones. This is Ahmad Rashad Thompson for the Rundown on Leadership. Until next time, lead well, even when it's falling apart. And remember, you were built for this. Not because it's easy, but because you were called to greater than the chaos. We'll see you next week should the Lord that is calling. Great night, everyone. Take care.
At Fort Charlotte,